Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're tackling something that literally almost every single driver goes through, yet somehow nobody is actually prepared for. We're going to take that absolute panic-inducing, day-ruining nightmare of getting a flat tire and flip it into a completely manageable situation. And specifically, we're zooming in on the unique hazards drivers face right here in the Schertz area. So, let's get you prepared.
Okay, picture this. You're having a fantastic afternoon. Maybe you're just cruising past the Schertz HEB, minding your own business, when out of nowhere, you hear it. That horrible, rhythmic thump, 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 echoing off the concrete barriers of a sweltering Texas highway. Instantly, the steering wheel starts fighting you for control, and boom, your afternoon plans completely evaporate. It's a universal headache, but man, when you're caught out in that blistering Texas summer heat, it honestly feels like a personal attack from the universe.
Now, what's really interesting about this data from AAA is just how incredibly common this exact scenario actually is. A massive 27% of all roadside emergencies are entirely tire-related. That is over a quarter. So hey, you are definitely not alone when you find yourself stranded on the shoulder of FM 3009 or just sitting helplessly in a parking lot near Schertz Parkway. It happens literally every single day to thousands of people.
But here's the shocking reality that catches so many drivers completely off guard. Nearly 1/3 of new vehicles rolling off the assembly line right now, they don't even come with a spare tire anymore. Seriously, manufacturers have totally ditched them just to save weight and boost fuel economy. So if you get a flat, you might pop that trunk and find, what, a flimsy little can of sealant in a prayer? When that happens, you aren't just looking for a jack, you are looking for a way out.
But hey, don't panic. That's exactly why we've put together this structured survival guide for you today. We're going to quickly run through 1. The flat tire reality. 2. Local hazards and heat. 3. DIY versus professional help. 4. When towing is mandatory. 5. Prevention and maintenance. And finally, 6. Flat tire FAQs. This is your roadmap to getting through the crisis safely and efficiently.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the flat tire reality. We need to talk about the immediate actions you absolutely must take the very second you realize your tire has failed.
If you hit a hole and suddenly feel a vibration, do not ignore it. That is your tire crying out for help, and you need to pull over immediately. Trying to just limp your car along, driving on a flat, even for a few hundred yards, massive mistake. Ruining your rim costs 5 times as much as just replacing the tire itself. It is a huge financial stake. So save your wallet, save those incredibly expensive rims, and just get the car stopped safely.
Moving right along into Section 2, local hazards and heat. Let's look at the environmental factors around the Schertz area that are out to get your tires.
Driving around here right now is basically a perfect storm for blowouts. First up, we're dealing with the massive $3 billion I-35 NEX project. That means construction debris is everywhere. Shards of metal, stray nails, jagged concrete, basically the natural enemies of your tires. Combine all that with the blistering Texas heat, which actively spikes your tire pressure and weakens the rubber, and you've got a total recipe for disaster. A tiny puncture that might hold up fine in the winter will catastrophically fail when it hits triple digits on the frontage road. Throw in some hidden potholes on heavy traffic corridors like FM 78, and yeah, your tires are absolutely under siege.
Which brings us to Section 3, DIY versus professional help. Okay, you're stranded. Do you try to fix it yourself, or do you call for backup? You have to make a choice, and you've got to be brutally honest with yourself about your surroundings. Think about the difference between a nice, quiet residential street in Willow Grove versus the narrow shoulder of I-35. If you have a spare, a jack, the muscle to loosen those crazy machine-tightened lug nuts, and you're on a quiet street, sure, go for it. But trying to change a tire while semi-trucks are blasting past you at 70 miles per hour? No way. That's a completely different beast.
So the crucial point is perfectly captured right here. Your life is worth more than the cost of professional roadside assistance. Professional technicians bring an entirely different level of safety to the table. They've got the proper heavy-duty jacks, the brilliant high-visibility gear, and that blinding safety lighting to shield you while they get the job done safely.
And speaking of safety, think about this massive number, $1,250. That's the maximum fine from the Texas Department of Transportation if you fail to obey the move over law. In Texas, drivers are legally required to move over a lane or slow down for stationary emergency vehicles. And yes, that absolutely includes tow trucks with flashing lights. When you call a local towing service, you aren't just paying for a tire change, You're literally buying a legal and physical safety buffer. It keeps you from becoming a tragic statistic on the side of the highway.
All right, let's roll into Section 4, when towing is mandatory. Because sometimes, a simple roadside patch just isn't an option. For instance, did your tire just go flat or did it totally shred? If you have a blowout that violently damages your brake lines or your suspension, a mobile repair is out of the question. Plus, if you're driving a modern all-wheel drive vehicle, you are locked into the AWD towing protocol. You can't just hook an AWD car up and drag it down the road. It requires a specialized flatbed tow truck to prevent utterly destroying the transmission. In these situations, don't mess around calling friends for a four-way wrench. Take decisive action and get a professional out there with the exact right equipment.
Now, obviously, the best roadside assistance is the kind you never actually have to call. So let's talk about Section 5, prevention and maintenance. Let's shift from being reactive victims of the road to proactive heroes.
The Texas Department of Public Safety mandates a minimum tread depth of 2/32 of an inch. But how do you actually check that? Enter the wildly simple penny test. Step 1, just grab a standard penny. Step 2, stick it into the tire tread with Lincoln's head pointing upside down. Step 3, if you can see the top of his head, your tires are legally bald, and honestly, incredibly dangerous. If you're driving on bald tires, you are practically begging to hydroplane during one of our sudden Gulf Coast thunderstorms. Seriously, check your tread today.
You also really need to check your air pressure once a month. Do not wait for that little dashboard light to glow like a warning from the gods. By the time that thing lights up, your tire is already severely underinflated. Underinflated tires cause excess friction. Friction causes intense heat, and heat directly causes blowouts. Just look at the economics here. Keeping a $30 portable inflator in your trunk is a tiny investment that actively prevents a $100 emergency service call. It's a total no-brainer.
Let's wrap things up with Section 6 Flat Tire FAQs, addressing the most common logistical questions Schertz drivers face when disaster strikes.
Let's quickly break down the financial and logistical reality here. A simple plug or patch at a local shop is cheap, usually around $20 to $40. But if you need roadside assistance or a tow, expect to pay between $75 and $150 depending on the distance. And please listen to me on this one. Pay close attention to the limits of a temporary donut spare tire. You absolutely cannot drive faster than 50 miles per hour, and you cannot drive it further than 50 miles. It is purely designed to limp your car to the nearest repair shop. That's the whole shebang.
Just a few final, absolutely crucial points. Those sealant repair kits and run-flat tires, they are completely useless if the puncture happens on the sidewall. Also, actually attempting to change your own tire on the narrow, high-speed I-35 NEX construction corridor is highly, highly discouraged. Prioritize your professional safety over a moment of convenience. Whether it's a quick plug or a full flatbed tow, the ultimate goal of professional service is getting you and your vehicle safely home to your family.
Which leaves us with one final, provocative question. If you are driving down the road and heard that terrible thump, thump, thump right now, today, are you actually prepared? Do you have the tread? Do you have a spare? Is there an inflator sitting in the back? I challenge you to walk out and check your trunk the very second this explainer ends. Equip yourself with this knowledge, take control of your vehicle's maintenance, and be fully prepared for whatever the road throws your way. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay safe out there.